Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for joining. I'd like to seek the blessings and mercy of Krishna Balaram, Radha Madhav, Radha Shyam Sundar, Gaunitai, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembled Vaishnavas, so that we continue with 11th Canto, chapter 8. And this is a verse that we can recite, text number 42.
Atma hi atmano gupta nirvidyata yada kilat apramata idam pashed grastam kalahina jagat. Translation: when the living entity sees that the entire universe has been seized by the serpent of time, he becomes sober and sane, and at that time detaches himself from all material sense gratification. In that condition, the living entity is qualified to be his own protector.
So this time destroys everything, and we at some point will realize, time has taken so much of my life, and we try to become somewhat detached from the surroundings around us, and at that time we will be able to teach ourselves something, become qualified to be our own protector. So this chapter is entitled The Story of Pingala. The Avadut Brahman explains to Nimi Maharaj the instructions he had received from 9 further gurus, beginning with the Python. So he's already explained 8 in the previous chapter. So the 9th is the Python. An intelligent person should cultivate a mentality of detachment and should maintain his body by accepting whatever comes of its own accord or is easily obtained. I think this is the point, easily obtained, because otherwise we make such big endeavors and we get very little fruit out of those big endeavors. An intelligent person does endeavor to obtain material happiness, knowing that it doesn't endeavor to obtain material happiness, knowing that it will come of its own accord, just as unhappiness comes. So we know that nobody wants unhappiness, but it comes. And in the same way, happiness will also come. There's no need to necessarily make a separate arrangement for it. Actually, let me change that now because I'll forget. So, in this way, he should remain always engaged in the worship of the Supreme Lord. Even if no food is available, the person who wants to engage in the Lord's worship should not beg, but understand that this to be the arrangement of providence, thinking, whatever enjoyment is destined for me will automatically come. And thus, I should not uselessly waste the remaining duration of my life in worrying about such things. Of course, we shouldn't be lazy. I mean, the distinction between ignorance and goodness is quite fine. That person in goodness may understand, okay, don't worry, happiness will come on its own accord. So don't worry, just focus on the Supreme. But the ignorant person will do exactly the same thing. He's not going to endeavor for happiness necessarily. He's just lazy. They seem similar. More to goodness, the person won't do anything. More ignorance, he won't do anything. But the motivations are completely opposite, different from each other. But it doesn't mean that we should be lazy. This is the point. It's not that we are not endeavoring for material things, so we don't do anything. No, we're going to progress spiritually. That's the point. If he doesn't get any food, he should simply remain lying like a python and patiently fix his mind in meditation upon the Supreme Lord. So interesting how usually snakes are avoided like the plague. But in this case, the python is used as an example, as a guru. And there is an example actually I think it's the 5th canto, when Maharaj Bharat, he passed away, became a deer, and then he remembered his life as Maharaj Bharat. Then when he died as a deer, he became Jad Bharat. And Jad Bharat realized that he made a terrible mistake by thinking of a deer in his last life and dying. In this life, he didn't take any chances. He behaved like a python for quite a large chunk of his life. He wouldn't do anything. He just lie there thinking about the Lord within himself. But outwardly, it looked like a lazy person. And his behavior was just like the python. Whatever came naturally of his own accord, he would accept. So interesting. So number 10, ocean, is the guru. The mind of the devoted, realized sage is clear and grave, just like the still ocean waters. The ocean does not overflow during the rainy season, when all the flooded rivers discharge their waters into it, nor does it dry up during the hot season, when the rivers fail to supply it. Similarly, the sage does not become elated when he achieves desirable things, nor does he become distressed in their absence. So it's interesting. Karuna was saying yesterday how the lakes are increasing. It must have rained 20 centimeters, but it was like the increase in the level of water was much significantly higher. But if you look at the ocean, so many rivers going to the ocean and so much rain may be falling over the ocean, but the ocean remains steady. Krishna also gives the example of the ocean that just like so many rivers flow into the ocean, so many desires come into the mind of the sage, just like everybody else. But he's steady. He's like the ocean. He's not swayed by those desires. So this ocean is a very interesting example. Krishna himself uses it as an example in the Bhagavad Gita's 2nd chapter. So this is a very, very nice thing to realize, that sometimes desires may come into our minds, or we get something not desirable, or we get something very desirable. But in either circumstance, we don't need to lament or be overly elated, just like the sage. The moth, number 11. A foolish person with no discrimination is immediately aroused at the sight of a lusty woman, beautifully decorated with golden ornaments, fine clothing, and other cosmetic features. Being eager for sense gratification, such a fool loses all intelligence and is destroyed, just like the moth who rushes into the blazing fire. So the moth, he sees the fire and he likes the light and he rushes towards it. And of course, he's burnt to smithereens. So that's what happens to us if we are going to be enamored by material nature and the things that it offers. It's all temporary, it's all illusory. And if we are enamored by that, then we're destroying ourselves, basically, destroying ourselves. So, good example about the moth. Try to avoid seeing these temptations and going for them. So the bees, that's the next one, number 12. There are two kinds of bees. There's the bumblebee. The instructions learned from the bumblebee is that a sage should collect only small amounts of food from many different households, and thus day after day practice the occupation of madhukari for maintaining his existence. A sage should also collect the essential truths from all scriptures, be they great or insignificant. So many lessons from this bumblebee. He only collects enough for the day. So the sage, especially in Vrindavan, they do madhukari, and they just beg what they're going to need for the day. They eat that, and then they'll beg the next day. If they get nothing, they won't eat. And to learn essential truths, we can learn from so many sources, just like this Avadut Brahman is learning from so many sources. So whether the scripture is a great scripture or little scripture, doesn't matter. It doesn't even have to be a scripture. We can learn so many things from so many different places. It's about the spiritual natures. And then there's the honeybee, the second type. The instructions received from the second insect, the honeybee, is that a mendicant sannyasi should not save the food he begs for the sake of having it later that night or the next day. Because if he does so, then just like the greedy honeybee, he'll be destroyed along with his hoard. So honeybees, they hoard everything. They make this fantastic beehive, and then the human comes and destroys it, takes all the nectar. So this is an interesting example to the mendicant sannyasi. Don't save anything give it all, eat whatever you want, give the rest away. Very hard for householders to live in that way, but this is for the sannyasi. 13th Guru, the elephant. Male elephants are tricked by hunters into moving towards captive female elephants, whereupon they fall into the hunter's ditch and are captured. Similarly, the man who becomes attached to the form of woman falls down into the deep well of material life and is destroyed. And of course, the other way around as well. When the woman is also attached to the form of the man, it's not a good place to be. A saintly person should avoid bodily contact with a woman and vice versa. Otherwise, he will surely be captured by illusion, just as the elephant is captured by the she-elephant due to his desire to touch her body. So this is a problem that is there throughout the whole world. It's the basic problem, the main problem in this world, the attraction between male and female and the attachment that comes from it and the trouble that comes from it. Unfortunately, the conditioning takes place from very young age, and it's very difficult to beat that conditioning as well. So it's a question of training the future generations that be very careful when, but in these days, of course, with the schooling as it is and all the different types of teachings that are given, hard for a male or a female to remain pure and remain fixed. So, but anyway, we have to do what we can do. Number 14, the honey thief. The greedy man struggles to produce a large quantity of honey for family enjoyment. Honey is money, right? Or money is honey, which is then stolen by someone who will enjoy it personally. No matter how carefully one hides his hard-earned wealth, there are those who are expert in detecting its whereabouts and stealing it. Sannyasis and brahmacharis are entitled to take away. This is really interesting. Sannyasis and brahmacharis are entitled to take away the wealth of the laboring householders, just like a hunter, honey thief, takes away the honey laboriously produced by the honeybees. So our Guru Maharaj, he was very expert in instructing his disciples that you should give your Lakshmi, your hard-earned Lakshmi, for the service of the Lord. And often people would take that in the wrong way. But here we see actually it's a duty. So it's an entitlement of the sannyasis and the brahmacharis to take away the wealth of the laboring householders. Why? Because actually by doing that, they are purifying that wealth. They are actually protecting the householders. So very interesting verses in this chapter about how the householder's wealth can be protected by the sannyasis and the brahmacharis by taking it away and using it in the service of the Lord. So otherwise, what will happen to the money one accumulates? It'll be gone. It'll be just gone. Somebody will take it. Somebody will steal it. There's so many experts in this world who can do that. So it's better that it gets stolen by the devotees than by anybody else. Of course, they don't steal it. They use it in the service of the Lord. 15, dear, a saintly person should never listen to songs or music promoting material enjoyment, becoming attracted to the worldly singing and dancing and musical entertainment of beautiful women. Even the great sage, Rishi Shinga, the son of a deer, totally fell under their control, just like a pet animal. Rather, a saintly person should carefully study the example of the deer who is bewildered by the sweet music of the hunter's horn and is thus captured and killed. So avoiding Bollywood is good because listening to the mundane music will entrap us, just like the deer is entrapped by the sweet music of the hunter's horn, captured and killed. So trying to avoid this karmi music is a very good thing to do. The fish, number 16, coming under the sway of attachment to the sense of taste and thus the desire to enjoy his tongue, the fish is caught on the baited fisherman's hook and destined to die. This is really a tragic scenario. The bait is laid for the fish. He bites. He was thinking he's going to get some food, but he in fact gets trapped and suffers like anything. Similarly, an intelligent person who is victimized by his insatiable tongue will also end up losing his life. By fasting, learned men quickly bring all of the senses except the tongue under control. So if by your fasting, the one sense you can't control is the tongue. Tongue is thinking, hey, wish I could enjoy some food. Because by abstaining from eating, such men are afflicted by an increased desire to gratify the sense of taste. Although one may conquer all of the other senses, as long as the tongue is not conquered, it cannot be said that one has conquered his senses. However, if one is able to control the tongue, then one is understood to be in full control of all his senses. Rupa Goswami in his Upadeshamrita says in the first verse that the person who can control his tongue, he can make disciples all over the world. And the tongue, if we look at the line of the senses in our body, is the first sense. From the tongue, then, we go down to the stomach and the genitals. And so if you control the tongue, the stomach and the genitals come under control. Very difficult to do. But controlling the tongue, the speaking, the eating, very, very important. And the example is the fish. So we come to the last one now, last of the instructions. There's 24 in total, but in this chapter, it finishes here. It talks about Pingala. I think it finishes here anyway. There was once a prostitute named Pingala in the city of Videha. And from her, the Avadut learned that hopes for sense gratification are the root cause of all suffering. I will enjoy something. And of course, when that something we try to enjoy is never going to be good enough, so we become frustrated, suffering. Or we miss the opportunity of enjoying our senses for whatever reason, because in this world, nothing is guaranteed. Again, suffering. The story goes as follows. One day, she dressed herself in very attractive clothing and ornaments and was waiting from sunset until
Roger didn't understand who is Pingala.
Pingala is a woman looking for a man.
Oh.
She's
Okay,
waiting.
Roger understood.
Whoa, you're beyond your years, you are, young man. She waited in great anticipation. But as time passed, her mind became very uneasy. No man came to see her. And in disgust, she finally became renounced, giving up her hankering for the arrival of a suitor. She felt a great detachment from her situation, cutting to pieces the binding network of material hopes and desires. And she sang as follows. So she sings a bhajan, a song about her plight. Just see how greatly illusioned I am, because I cannot control my mind. Just like a fool, I desire lusty pleasure from an insignificant man, having given up the service of that person who is actually most dear to me, and that is the Supreme Lord. It's actually a phenomenal bhajan, phenomenal set of verses. Although he is in my own heart, I have completely neglected him, instead serving those who simply brought me unhappiness. I have uselessly tortured my own soul. I have sold my body to lusty, greedy men, hoping to get money and sex pleasure. This material body, which is like a house, comprises of bones forming my spine, ribs, arms, legs. There are beams and pillars of the house. The whole structure, which is full of stool and urine, is covered by skin, hair, and nails. The 9 doors, so that's the nose and the ears and the mouth and the eyes and genitals. 9 doors leading into the body are constantly excreting foul substances. I have foolishly devoted myself to this body, thinking that I might find pleasure and love in this contraption. I will now pay the price of complete surrender to the Supreme Lord, who is a well-wisher, who is and this is what Shyam Malini was saying, this complete surrender, who is everyone's well-wisher, and thus purchase the Lord. Ah, interesting. All men and even the demigods in heaven have a beginning and an end. And so how much actual happiness can they give to their wives? This is a fact, right? There's always going to be a beginning and an end. It's never going to be eternal happiness. So how much happiness can we give to others? A person who undergoes great suffering gradually becomes, out of hopelessness, detachment, indifferent to the material world. So out of hopelessness, he becomes detached and indifferent to the material world. Although I most stubbornly hope to enjoy the material world, somehow or other, detachment has arisen in my heart, and it is making me very happy. So this is really an interesting point. When we really want something, we can't get it, and we give it up, there's a sense of satisfaction. I don't need it. I don't need it. I'm happy. Whatever it was I was longing for, actually, I didn't need it. So detachment has arisen in my heart, and it is making me very happy. Therefore, Vishnu must be pleased with me without even knowing it. I must have performed some activity satisfying to him. Therefore, I am in fact fortunate and have received the mercy of the Lord. With devotion, I accept the great benefit that the Lord has bestowed upon me. Having given up my sinful desires for ordinary sense gratification, I now take shelter of him. I am completely satisfied, having full faith in the Lord's mercy. I will maintain myself with whatever comes of his own accord. So these are incredible prayers and gives us great hope because we know in this world we'll never get what we want. So that detachment from it, when we don't get it, we just naturally will become detached, should make us happy. And if it makes us happy, we should be like Pingala, know that Vishnu, God, is pleased with us, and please beg him to bestow his mercy on us. The intelligence of the living entity is stolen away by activities of sense gratification. Thus he falls into the dark well of material existence. Within that well, he is then seized by the deadly serpent of time. Who else but the Lord, Supreme Lord, could save the poor living entity from such a hopeless condition? When the living entity sees that the entire universe has been seized by the serpent of time, so this is the verse that we were reading, he becomes sober and sane, and at that time detaches himself from all material sense gratification. In that condition, the living entity is qualified to be his own protector. Thereafter, she engaged herself in thinking only of the Supreme Lord Hari, and her mind achieved the supreme platform of peace. So this is a phenomenal chapter. And this example of Pingala is so instructive. So it just shows you how the Avadut Brahman, he learned so much from every walk of life, including animals, including loose women. So we can learn from any situation. We always should be learning something or other from every situation. Any questions, any comments?
Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Most of these things that we are learning is that we should sort of calm down ourselves. All these things happen because they're satisfying our senses,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like
Yeah.
that of a moth, that of a fish. We
Mm.
all want to be, so we should be calm like an ocean
Mm.
rather than get ourselves into the sense gratification. So that is all the basis of our life, isn't it? Everything we are doing is for sense gratification only.
Sense gratification, yeah. Yeah. That's right. And now luckily the time has come to wake up, and it's good timing as well.
Yes.
So yeah, it's time to wake up and say, okay, enough is enough. Like Pingala, I've not got any satisfaction from anything in my life. Right. You know what? I'm not going to worry about it anymore. I'm detaching myself from it. And somehow, if we can get that joy and happiness from that detachment, that means we're becoming attached to the Supreme Lord. That's really powerful. But it's a good observation, Nariman.
Yeah.
It's a good observation. Very, very true. Yeah. Anything else, Nariman?
One
Oh,
thing
sorry.
in one of the one thing. When it's where was it that the sort of sannyasis and brahmacharis, they take away our wealth, they're enlightened. Rather it is that the grihasthas, they give away their wealth.
Yeah.
They don't take it away. Nobody take it away.
Yeah, but they don't, you see. And sometimes our Guru Maharaj, like people used to feel, the disciple might feel, oh, why is Guru doing this? Why is he telling me to, because sometimes he was quite, like persuasive in his argument. And the disciple would think, oh, do I really have to part with this? So householders generally, and we're finding this now, right, as we're going around and we are asking, for assistance in getting this center ready. People may have great amount of wealth. In fact, the wealthier they are, the stingier they are. And the poorer they are, the more generous they are. It's such an ironic situation. So generally the householder will not give. So that's why it says in this Bhagavatam that sannyasi and brahmachari are entitled to take away the wealth of the laboring householders. It's for their own good. So now I understand a little bit better why Guru Maharaj, whenever he asked us, we were never shy to give. But now I do understand why he would be very persuasive in his dealings with the disciples. It was for their good. We knew that anyway, but it's confirmed in the Bhagavatam. You know, it's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Okay, finished.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, Bhavan.
I didn't understand what python means.
Oh, python is the big snake.
Is it a woman or like is
Snake.
it a
Snake.
Nag.
oh, it's
Nag.
a snake.
Nag, yeah.
All right. That's right. And second thing, you talked about these bumblebees or
Bumblebee.
honeybee. So is it like, are they really bees or are they
Real
human
bees.
beings?
No. These bees are what the person learned a lesson from.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. All right. That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I mean, it's nice to know because sometimes you don't know. When it says bumblebee, you think bumblebee really a bumblebee? But the way you are explaining is very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining and listening so nicely. Yeah?
No, I'm enjoying. That's all. I know if I can ask questions anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm repeating with when not reading, but when they are doing the prayers, I'm repeating with it.
Yes,
with
I
other
saw that. I
people.
saw that on Sunday. Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Madhusan Babu, you're here. Is this your last day before you?
Haribol, I'll pass the phone.
Yes.
Yeah, Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna to everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, been a pleasure doing all these instructions all this time, but I was sorry yesterday I couldn't.
No, I understand.
I managed to get my visa by going to the consulate itself.
Well done.
Well
done.
Then, so tomorrow afternoon I'll be leaving, so.
Right. Yeah.
I'll be there for three weeks or so,
Okay.
Okay.
Safe journey there, huh? Safe journey.
Yeah.
Have a safe journey. Where are you going, Prabhuji?
Vrindavan.
Wow. How long for?
It's about three weeks.
Wow. Excellent. Wow. Hari
Nobody
bol.
is envious, okay?
I know it's going to be very hot there. And,
It's beautiful. It'll be beautiful. It'll be very nice.
Yeah,
And they have
sure.
AC anyway, so it's absolutely fine.
Yeah, but if I'm joining the class and all that, I'll remember the times and all that. I'll watch out anyway. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow. It'd be amazing if you give us some
Darshans and
Darshan, yes.
Yeah. Well, it'll be what time? Now it'll be 8
It will be
o'clock.
8:30.
It will be really good idea.
8 o'clock there now.
Yeah, I'll send a few clips and all that, or
Very
now
nice.
and then, the darshan and
Okay,
some
now.
interesting places that I may go or something. So yeah,
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah. Thank you.
but sorry about the insult. I know the.
Oh, no.
the
Don't worry.
resolution.
No.
If somebody wants to do them, then by all means, somebody could just read chapter, pick out a few interesting bits.
True. Yeah, maybe I was thinking about Naniben, maybe.
Yeah, could do it. Be
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah.
If we get to the 12th canto, then
Yeah.
by that time.
I think you'll probably be back before we finish the 11th.
Yeah, 11th anyway. Yeah,
It's quite a
but
few.
it's been a pleasure, and I really wish everybody,
Thank you.
Hare Krishna and Hari Bol to everyone.
Yeah, safe travel.
Safe journey.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
And,
thank you.
Dandavat to Vrindavan Dham.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Thank
I'll
you.
bring some Braj dust.
Yes, please.
Wonderful. Yeah, well done.
Okay. I may say the prayers later. Yeah.
Yes, please. That'd be
Okay.
sure. Okay. Unless there's
Haribol.
anybody else, we can stop. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.